Okay, Karen and I want to go over the real estate stats because we've been getting a lot of questions on what's going on with the market. So every month, Windermere puts out a book of stats for us, which is super helpful. On the front page is basically what Karen and I kind of give a synopsis of what's going on in the market and what we're seeing, and then the rest of it's all through Windermere. And we give these out. If you're interested, let me know. We can deliver it to you each month. But we want to go over our talking points for this month because we think we've been getting a lot of questions on it. So I'll start, and then we'll each kind of talk on some different things. We are seeing a massive increase in inventory. We are up considerably from last year. So inventory is way up. The number of buyers is down, but it's not down that much. But we are seeing a huge decrease in prices because of the huge amount of increase in inventory. This is not a market that is for aspirational pricing. This isn't the time to say, oh, I'm going to throw my house on the market and just see what we can get. This is not the time for that. This is the time for people who are moving out of the area or need to sell for various reasons. So,
yeah, and I think just to give you some context, in a typical year, what we see is like starting in the middle of January through March, can go into April is when we really see the strongest people getting the best prices for their home. There's not as much inventory on the market. So this year started out like that. We saw, January kind of through the middle of March, it was following the trend that it typically follows. That's what we see. And then as you get past the middle of March to April is when you see more inventory coming on. And so buyers have more choices. So prices kind of start to stabilize. Well, this year, we've seen the median closed sale price for homes has declined 8% from a year ago. So we were still seeing the trend of, people getting, solid prices for their home, but they were still down from what we would have expected kind of. But yeah, from the middle of March on, it just, buyers are being very thoughtful about what they're not just jumping on things. They're waiting and being patient and, thinking like, I like this house, but, with the way that I see things, maybe the price is going to go down a little bit. So I'll wait and try and get a better deal. So we're seeing inventory to continue to go up, and buyers, like Sarah said, are there and, showing the properties and stuff, but the number of homes that are going pending is really down.
And there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. Most of the people who are buying on the east side are tech workers. They work at Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, and those companies, as we all know, have been doing layoffs here lately. And so there's just a lot of uncertainty. Even if they have a job, they probably know someone who doesn't and have lost a job. H-1B workers, if they get laid off, they have 3 weeks to find another job. If they don't, they have to leave. So we're really not seeing many of those buyers in the marketplace right now, which in the past, we have seen a lot of that, and it's really helped drive demand.
Do you feel like interest rates have made any effect on anything, or have they kind of been around the same amount that they're not?
Yeah, so interest rates have really stayed where they have been. And so even when interest rates were at this level a year ago or 2 years ago, we were still seeing good movement in our market. So I don't think it's interest rates as much right now, although lowering interest rates would certainly help.
Yeah.
It's more just buyer uncertainty with, everything going on in the world, gas prices, and then just uncertainty in their jobs. And our homes on the east side are definitely more expensive. So other areas in Washington are actually doing better when they have a lower price point and their jobs are more diversified. So we're just, on the east side, I feel like we're taking probably the bigger hit right now of what's, with buyers. Yeah.
We still feel like, I think even though there's more inventory and stuff, if people have to sell, we'd say do it now. The economists at Windermere and people are thinking that the market could continue to go down even by like 10% by the end of the calendar year. So this isn't a time if you have to sell in the near future to sit on it and wait and hope that it pops up in a month or two, you know, because that's not the trend that we're working towards.
Typically, as Karen mentioned, we reach our peak prices in, you know, starting with homes that go pending in January and then close in February and March. Although that is the 10-year trend, we are not predicting that for next year because we hope we do, but what we're hearing is that the buyer uncertainty will probably continue for some time and prices will continue to go down. We hope we're wrong, but that's what we're hearing. So
will you share kind of the thoughts? I've heard you talk about, you know, our area in terms of the Pacific Northwest versus other areas of the country and why we could potentially be seeing this now versus, you know, other areas that aren't seeing.
Yeah, so some other areas, you know, I feel like housing pretty much across the U.S. Went up considerably during COVID, especially popular areas like Austin, Texas, Coeur d'Alene are two areas that come to mind. Those areas right after COVID ended and people kind of got settled in again, those areas already saw a huge decrease in prices. Since then, they have stabilized and they're actually doing better than they were. In the Northwest, we never experienced that. After COVID, we had a very slight drop in prices when interest rates went up, but then it really didn't drop much, and it's kind of continued to stay the same. So one thing that we're hearing is that we might just be lagging behind the rest of the country to have that price correction. When prices went up 50%, you know, we just thought that was the new normal, but we may be coming down a little bit from that high.
Yeah.
So.
And I think even, you know, for me, when I think about, you know, looking back, what was the peak, like February of 2022, you know, is that kind of when it hit the highest?
Yeah.
It's like, you think, oh, my house was worth this much. You know, you kind of have that number still in your head of like, it hit this. And so, but we've been talking about how thinking of it like a stock, where even if your stock went up to an incredible amount at one point in the history of the stock, unless you got out at that time and you cashed out your stock, you didn't actually realize any of that, you know, those gains. So how, you know, your house value is kind of similar, right? It's like, even though in this, you know, world, if you would have sold at that time, you might have gotten that, but you know, it fluctuates. So you kind of have to think of it like
one
that.
Number I think that's helpful just in that is if I look at the peak, which we reached in, let's see here, I guess it was 1,722,000 was the median sales price. And that was in, we reached that for closings in April, which means they went pending in March, of 1,722,000. There were only 678 people on the whole East Side that were able to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
So,
that was back in 2022.
In 2022, yeah. And ever since then, we've been trying to get back to that number, and we've come close, but we have never quite reached that since 2022.
Yeah, and even back then, like looking at, you know, the number of active listings was, you know, well, I don't know which one
500,
we want to give.
Number of active listings is 533. We're currently at
almost 1,500. Oh, no,
1,700.
1,700
listings. So we have more than 3 times as many active listings as we did at that point.
Yeah.
So.
So
we hope this is helpful in understanding more about what's going on in the market. If you're interested in getting one of these, we can either drop it by your house, we can email it to you.
Reach out with any questions. We'd love to answer them.